Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, David, welcome back. Today is
Thank
my favorite day.
It is. Today is my favorite day.
And I'm sitting in air conditioning.
Yes, you are. He has no air conditioning in his house right now for what, last couple of days?
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Saturday,
brutal.
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah,
brutal.
Florida, no AC. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why build the wall?
Why build the wall? You know, that's a pointed question and actually a hot question.
It is.
Or as some people would say in sports, a hot take.
Yep.
So we're kind of joking about it a bit, but we are going to talk about politically why a wall, but we wanted to talk about Nehemiah.
Nehemiah. Yep.
Now you've been doing it. It's interesting that I had just texted you and said, hey, how about we talk about this? And you're already doing a study on it.
Yeah, I'd started it because part of the thing about Nehemiah, if you get in and you start reading, in chapter 2, he really casts the vision for the Jewish people at the time and why the wall was necessary. Yeah. And if you take that in the historical context, every city back then had a wall.
Well, and why?
Hey, you got to keep your enemies out.
You got to protect them. You got to protect yourself.
It's like, we have 4 walls on a house. We keep everybody else out,
or
right?
a fence around your house.
around the house or whatever.
Simple protection.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
and in chapter 1, he saw the problem. Right. So for us, we see a problem. Mm-hmm. He then prayed about it.
Yeah, a lot of prayer.
He prayed hard. So prayer, gigantic thing, right? Mm-hmm. Pray without ceasing, right? As it says in 1 Thessalonians 5, Yeah. So pray without ceasing. He prays and he knows he has to go to this powerful Persian king that could kill him. Right.
Yeah, the king had no reason to even
listen
to him
about building a wall around a city that was a problem
in the past.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. But through prayer, through I'm sure a lot of fasting and acting on what God told him to do, he was in favor with the king.
Well, and remember Persia, there was some favor for the Israelite people because Persia came wiped out. They wiped out Babylon. Yeah. And that was predicted 70 years after they took out the southern kingdom that Babylon was going to be wiped out.
Right.
I thought that was interesting how God took care of that. Mm-hmm. And now you have this you had a emperor prior to this going on, and then a new emperor, and he went back to the notes of the old emperor and saw what he wrote, about this city and these people and their God, about what happened with that. I thought that was interesting.
Promises.
Yes,
there was promises made, and so he had the honor and the integrity to keep the promises, and to move forward with them.
I thought that was neat.
Yeah, it is neat, the way it all works out. And if we had leaders today that would go back and look at the promises that they made before they got in office, or that their predecessors made to go forward, then maybe we'd have a little more integrity in politics.
Yeah. As we always say, we're not voting in angels.
No.
We're not voting in priests or pastors, and even though priests and pastors are sinful people, we're not voting in people with high integrity and high morals.
They're politicians.
We're hiring people. That's what we're doing. When we vote people, we're hiring them to take a leadership role and do what's best for our country.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
And it's for our country, not for some political agenda or anything like that. Here's the thing.
They're supposed to defend the Constitution.
Supposed to defend the Constitution. When they put their hand on the Bible and they say, defend and protect Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and
domestic.
So, and that's so why build the wall? Nehemiah saw the need there, and if you stop and think about what happened, we talked about this earlier. So he begins the project.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Well, the king supplied all the stuff. That's the wild part. So this king, it was supplied for them to do it, but when they started building, they started getting opposition.
Yes. Yep.
Oh. And like today, you hear about being a wall built and people oppose it. Mm-hmm. I heard one gentleman say he's actually going to be running for a very large office in the vice presidency. And when they talked about building a wall, he goes, you could build a 25-foot wall and then I'll invest in 25-foot, ladders. Which is not what we're talking about here, because a wall is not going to keep anybody completely out, just like a safe at a home. Yeah. Alex was bringing this up, our producer, just like a safe at home is not impenetrable. It's going to be penetrated, but it slows things down. Yeah. So your cameras and stuff can catch whoever it is, and they can call the police and do that kind of stuff. Right. Or as he put it, if you and Alex brought another analogy, which I thought was kind of good, which was you're in a car. The bags aren't there to save you. The airbags, they're to save you with
the seatbelt.
The seatbelt. So when we talk about wall, and let's just be reasonable and say you need to put a wall up, but then you need to have patrols that are on those walls near this so they could see, okay, they're getting slowed down, and then do a way of bringing people in legally. So they go through the legal, everybody goes through the legal process, which we already have.
Right.
Just a lot of people are breaking it. They're breaking the law. I mean, you know.
And doing it legally, doing it right. That's what we should be doing anyway as Christians.
Right.
We should be supporting legal immigration.
Correct. And oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And be there for those who are coming in.
Yeah.
You know, be a support to them. But when you have a bunch of illegal people all over the place coming in this place and you don't know who you got coming in, they're breaking the law, and we're supposed to be codependent and people please them. No, that's not what we need to do. So what happened? Nehemiah had this opposition, and he saw that these guys were going to get violent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because he had to figure out how to arm his people.
Yes. And there we go. There's another thing.
Yep.
He armed his people to watch what was going on, to protect people who were building, and then they'd rotate.
Yes.
And so there was arms. Now, they didn't have guns and all that stuff back then, but they had the arms that they had at that time to protect what was being built, the builders, the people doing the things, and the people, you know, so the people were protecting each other. That's what they were doing.
Well, yeah.
And they were given those arms to do that.
Right. The enemies wanted to come in at night and knock down what they'd done during the day.
Correct.
And so it would have really set things back. But the insight and then the prayer that was involved in setting it up in the right manner, because it wasn't willy-nilly. I mean, he had a very
great
plan.
Vision. He had a great vision.
And he was able to let the people see his vision.
Yes.
They were able to grab hold of that and make it real for themselves.
Into it.
Yeah.
And then they became a part of the vision in putting that together.
Yeah.
So before we go any further, prayer is gigantic, as we talked about. And I'd like to read just a little part here where these guys were really getting upset in Nehemiah 4. And they were getting very angry. So they ended up, these people are going against Nehemiah and the people building the wall around Jerusalem. It says in verse 8, chapter 4, they all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and stir up trouble against it. So they were ready to do some trouble, cause trouble. But we prayed, it says, Nehemiah says, we prayed to our God and posted a guard day and night to meet the threat. So they weren't just praying.
No,
it wasn't just prayer. It was, I have a responsibility. The mind of man plans his ways. The Lord directs his steps. He was looking for God's direction, knowing that part of his responsibility was to protect the people who were building this.
Yes.
So that was the other part of this story, right?
Yeah.
And so let's look at today. So, because you and I were kind of talking about this too, about what do we look at when we look at today? You talked about vision. How important is it for a presidential candidate or a school board candidate to have a vision and be very clear and honest about that vision?
It's vitally important. I think that in doing my research on various candidates, I start at the top. We have one candidate who has, this is what I want.
He put a list of this is what I'm going to do
on the website. You go to the other one, and they don't have nothing there. The only thing there is
that's deceptive. Yeah, and
that's
deceptive.
Yeah,
they need to put in, and maybe they'll do that after their convention, maybe. But they need to put that down so we can know what we're voting on,
right?
And what we're, because that means down the ballot, down with the senators and representatives, they're following that platform for the most part.
Right.
That's what at least that's the idea.
Right.
And so if they're following that platform, what is your platform?
Right.
Nehemiah gave a great vision. There were others out there that were giving their vision a negative vision, right? To knock that wall down. Don't put it up. We don't need that. So there was opposition, and it's okay to have opposition. And so today we have opposition. We have two different worldviews that people are looking at here. One is with a constitution. I'm not going to put a biblical side to this because I'm not going to put down that one's more Christian than the other. They're both politicians, okay?
Right.
And they're honestly, their VPs are politicians. Now, we can get into what they believe biblically. They'd have to say what they believe there. But we have to look at what they're standing on.
Yes.
Okay. And then we can make some choices. So one side right now, the Democratic Party does not have that.
Right.
They have not written that. Matter of fact, the vision that you see from President Trump and J.D. Vance, they're out all the time.
Yeah.
They're out everywhere right now.
Talking the vision.
Yes. Giving vision, these 20 to 25 points. This is what we believe. And we're not getting that. Matter of fact, this particular person running for president, Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, has put none of the vision out, and actually has changed a lot of her views to try to get to the center. So she's not being real with herself.
Right.
She's not being real with people. We know where she's at, knows where she stands on social issues, especially, which are anti-biblical.
Right. Well, and the thing that you have to look at is, so what's happening right now is there's a personality. Right now, it's the personality.
Well, you got the dance club, the whole, with her on that end, just kind of going, we're cool, we're giddy, we're fun, and then you got Trump over there going, this is what we're going to stand on, and you're an idiot, that kind of thing. Yeah. And the bottom line is that it still matters about the vision.
Right, and that's where you have to look at what has been done, how has a person voted, what kind of legislation has a person put forth, and stuff like that. And then you go, it's important the person at the top, but what's really important is down ballot.
Yeah.
So we have over in Hillsborough County, where I live, our representative is a Democrat, and she's been in office more years than she should have been. I believe in term limits.
Yeah.
And she's been there, and she will tell you that, I don't believe in this part of the platform, specifically abortion.
Abortion, yeah. Okay. I don't believe in this, but I'm going to vote against it.
But she votes, yes. And so that's what she believes.
No backbone. Yeah. There is no integrity there.
No.
Stand on what you believe and let people vote on that.
Right.
I mean, I'm okay if Kamala Harris goes, I want, abortion up till birth. I'm okay with her saying, hey, I want to have the DEI stuff going all over in our country. I'm okay if she says, this is what I believe in. We should have transgenderism in our schools, and the parents have no rights within those schools of how do we do with that. I'm okay with someone saying, I want the borders completely open and have everyone who's illegal become citizens. I'm okay with you saying, I want these wars over here, and I'm because we make money off of it.
Right.
I'm okay with you doing it, but just tell us.
Tell us. Yeah.
Don't tell me that you're going to do that. You're saying one thing. I don't want fracking. I don't want any fracking, as she said. Yes. And now she's going, well, I could do that.
Well, that's only because she wants Pennsylvania.
Of course. Yeah. So that. The one thing that, and I'm not putting Donald Trump as any angel. That's not what I'm saying. No. I'm not saying J.D. Vance is, because I'm not. And you're not either.
I'm not either.
So we all have our sin. We all have our stuff. And Ms. Kamala Harris has that same issue. And who's the vice president? Walz. Yep. They all have that.
Yep.
Just give the vision.
Yeah.
You see in Nehemiah a vision. The vision for there was to build a wall, to protect the people and have Jerusalem be built up again.
Yes.
That was the vision, and he gave a very clear vision, asked for that help, got the people behind him, started building a wall, had opposition, made a decision quickly, and with prayer. I've got to protect our people. Everyone, get your weapons, and we're going to protect us as we're building this thing.
Yeah, I had one pastor say, it's almost like they had a sword in one hand and a brick in the other.
That's exactly what they had.
And so.
And that's why we have the Second Amendment here.
Yeah.
Just to go on the Second Amendment real quick, and I know someone may look at this and go, "These guys are crazy," but the Second Amendment is there so the government doesn't get too powerful to say we're going to put this on you, and you have no way to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And that happens around the world.
Yeah.
That's in socialist. Communist countries, that's what they do. Confiscate the weapons. Now we got you. We're going to do what you're going to do what we tell you to do, or that's it.
Yeah. And you can. There's a manifesto out there. Saul Alinsky had.
Saul Alinsky. Oh my gosh.
And if you look at those who are powerful in the Democratic Party,
that's all they follow.
Our last female presidential candidate admired and put Alinsky up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is go.
Clintons.
Yeah, all you have to do is go read Alinsky.
Absolutely.
But it's vital that, number one, when it comes to how are you going to vote on this, David? I'm going to pray about it first.
Yep,
I'm going to pray about this first, and I'm going to look at what this person stands on.
Their vision. Vision.
What's their vision? I can't vote on personalities.
No. No, because honestly, I don't like either personality of both candidates. Yeah. I know Kamala Harris as far as where she comes from. I'm from California. I know her background. Yeah, and when she went after Trump on his morality, I just started laughing.
Yeah.
I was going, "Are you kidding me? Don't go down that road. No one should go down that road. None of us have the morality to be able to do that. Not even the Pope. Yeah. All of us are sinful people, but we could say, I'm trying to follow the Word of God, right? That's the only morality that's there. Yeah. So, we need our politicians need to get off of that that high horse. I mean, when I heard Joe Biden talking about his morality, and I'm going, oh my gosh, no, don't talk about that, Joe. That he doesn't have that. I don't have that. Yeah. We need to be looking at what is the vision. Mm-hmm. So Christians need to pray, say, Lord, help me to see the vision of both candidates in anything I'm looking at.
Right.
Help me to see the vision. What is it? Let me read it. And if somebody doesn't give you that vision, that tells you something. Mm-hmm. You can't trust that person if they're not willing to do that. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine marrying somebody and you're sitting down and going, I'd like to go over, what's our vision going to be for us, the two of us? And I have this vision. I want us to, focus on Jesus. I want us to, be financially free. I want us to be able to go and do things, but I want us also to raise our kids this way, right? Mm-hmm. And then I ask the other person, they go, well, I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. and you know that they're going to change all over the place constantly.
Yeah, and we've been in those conversations with couples.
Absolutely. I've told people not to marry. Yeah. I've literally said, don't marry until you guys get this figured out. Yeah. Because if you don't have that figured out, we're going to change as it is. Yeah. But if you don't have Jesus at the center of at least our worldview, you don't have Jesus at the center of it, and both of them are going for Jesus, not like, I go to church, but going for Jesus, you're going to have problems. Yeah. And it's just, we are all going to have problems in our marriages, but we're going to have real problems that could bring total calamity to the marriage.
Right. Yeah, and those conversations are somewhat fun sometimes. Oof. But they can be brutal. But having Christ in the center of it is so important. But there again, there comes your Bible study, there comes your prayer, there comes that time together to get to know each other in Christ.
Correct.
And then you have a vision for the family.
So then we could tie it to the politicians. I need to know your vision.
Yes.
I can't marry into you through my vote. Right. I can't say I put my stamp of approval on you and you're going to be our employee to lead this country. Because you're no king. The presidents are not kings.
They're not kings.
There's a reason why George Washington did it once, and then he went, nope, I'm done. Yeah. And they wanted to put him as a king.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he said, that's not what we already went through that. Yeah. We don't do that again. Yeah, the only king we have is God himself.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that's what we got. Mm-hmm. So for us, I think that as Christians, instead of getting caught up in all the goofiness, this person's mean, this person's nice, this person, giggles too much, this person, yells too much. Who cares about all that stuff? Look at what the vision is for the candidates. And if they don't have a vision that you could agree with biblically, then don't vote for them.
Right.
And if you do see someone who's biblically with your biblical worldview Christian, you need to vote for them.
Right. Right.
And don't sit on the sidelines. Yeah. If Kamala Harris has a biblical worldview that you could work with, then vote her in. For her.
Yeah.
And I would if she had a biblical worldview that I totally agreed with. Yep. But I don't. Yeah. At least what I know at this moment, what I've seen over the years with her, she's complete opposite of where I come from. And honestly, when Donald Trump was running in 2016, I did not vote for him in the primaries. Ted Cruz, I basically liked his worldview. I liked what he looked at and what he did. But when Trump became that, I had to look at the two, people, Hillary Clinton or Trump, and then I looked at their vision. Yeah, I didn't care if she wore, pants and he yelled a lot. I just didn't care. I cared about what did they stand on. Right. And what I saw was one is not in my biblical worldview close. The other one wasn't either. But at least his views on the vision were tied to what I could vote for.
To yours, yeah. It's funny you go back to that one. I had my very dear friend who's gone on to be with Jesus, Bill Borkenstein. We would have a lot of conversation. We met every Tuesday for coffee, right? Sure. And Bill had a biblical worldview. He came out of a Catholic church, Catholic upbringing, recovering alcoholic, into a Pentecostal church.
Got it.
Okay, so there's a background, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
And he couldn't let go of the fear-mongering about what Trump would do.
Well, that's the easiest thing to do is to say this person's going to take your constitutional rights away, which, by the way, there are people on the right that are saying the same thing, about some of the Democratic leaders. Right. And so we have to be aware when someone says, I'm going to take your rights away. In the 4 years that Trump was there, did he do that?
Right.
In the 4 years or 3.5 years we've had with Biden, has that happened? Yes. Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of gaslighting happening right now.
There is.
And if there's gaslighting going on the Trump side towards her, don't listen to it.
Right.
If there's gaslighting coming from the Democratic side to the Republican side, don't listen to the gaslighting. Look at what they have said and what they stand on and what's their vision.
Yep.
We got to get out of the way of our emotions and focus on vision. Nehemiah was a man of vision.
He was.
God gave him that vision. He went and got help from the most powerful man in the world at that time to go build a wall of a city that was a problem to this king long ago, or this nation long ago. Yeah. And he trusted him to say he is not going to do what they did before, which they didn't.
Yeah.
And he was able to build the wall, but he had to do it with strength. And he had to say, you come over here, we've got the weapons to stop you, and we're going to keep building this wall. And we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to protect our people. Because it's important that we protect our people.
Absolutely.
And right now we need politicians that say we're going to protect the people of the United States. Doesn't matter what color, what background, what religion, it matters. Are you going to protect? Are you the President of the United States who says you're going to protect us as citizens from those enemies outside and within?
Yes, absolutely.
And so we got to look at that. You got to say, what are we going to do there? So Nehemiah was a man of prayer, as you said. And what else did you get from him? And then we'll finish this off.
I loved his vision, and I love the fact that he communicated with the king
over and over again.
Over and over again. He knew that he had permission. He knew what was being said about him.
And they were sending letters to the king. Lying.
Yes. And he affirmed his promises to the king.
Correct.
And so the king stood by him. And so the communication factor of it, the fact that he just cast vision. And we would encourage you, we asked at the start, why build a wall? Right? Read Nehemiah. Whether you're a person of faith or not, grab your Bible, read Nehemiah, and find out why his faith, his actions, his prayer life, his integrity and courage to go to the king. How many of us would have the courage to go to the president and speak up and say, hey, I need to do this, and I want your permission to do this?
Right. Well, it'd be kind of going to Joe Biden and saying, President Joe Biden saying, I'd like to build a wall. And I think we need to have the wall so we can protect our nation. And I would like to have, patrolmen on that wall, to be able to see that. And I
want you to pay for it.
I want, and our government needs to pay for this to protect our citizens.
And that's what Nehemiah did.
And so that I know there's a lot more to, and we know this. There's a lot more to immigration, a whole lot more. I know that there's the heartstrings of people who are coming from nothing, and I get that. But there's also people getting in food lines with Teslas, and I know that for a fact because I just saw it. And people are taking advantage of this. And what we need to do is have our laws in place so that doesn't happen. If a Democrat or Republican, whoever is going to stand on that one issue, I'll probably vote for that person. And if the person is for abortion or is for reducing that down as much as possible, and really my goal is to have no abortions in the country because that's death to children, then I'm going to vote for that person who kind of lands in that area. Now, if you disagree with that, that's why we vote.
That's why we vote.
That's why we vote.
Well, David, today's our favorite day. It's been a great day. We'll see you all next go. Live intentionally. Be very blessed, my friends.
Pray.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guests alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Ball. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.